Good morning, everyone. It's 8 a.m. here, so I feel as tired as I look, and it's 12, like
Mm-hmm.
midnight for
Mm-hmm.
Merri. And today, this is Merri. I'm going to talk to her about NaNoWriMo, doing NaNoWriMo with your class. And of
Yes.
course, the reason we're doing this is because it's the 1st of November. So for Merri, NaNoWriMo just started. For me, it's already happening, and I haven't written a word, so the pressure is already building up. Um, so that's why we thought it's a perfect moment to discuss how she's going to tackle this month with her kids. Um, so first, before we start, just first tell us a little bit about yourself, like what you write, what you do, and of course, how you came to do these with your kids. Like those are the things I want to focus on first.
Okay. Um, I write, except for NaNoWriMo, I write small town feel good romance. And so I think I actually got to my 20th book this month. If I didn't get
Well
it this month, I'll get
done.
it next month.
Well done.
And so, and actually the book I wrote in Edinburgh,
Mm-hmm.
that's the one that's being published like next week.
Really well. So that's for the Mary and I. We've known each other on Facebook. But
Yes.
we didn't meet until the 20 Books to 50K conference in Edinburgh last summer in Scotland, obviously. So that's where we met in person for the first time. Okay, so
Exactly.
the book you were writing then, because it was a conference and a writing retreat.
Yes, it
The
was.
book you were writing then is the one getting published.
Yes.
Well done. So that might be your 19th or your 20th book.
Yes, I've lost count.
Well, at one point, yeah. Just happened, really. And in how many years? Like, what time span is that?
I think in 3 years.
Oh my God, that's so good. That's really well
Yeah.
done. But you need to
Yes,
celebrate that for sure.
I will.
Yeah.
I
So,
will. 'Cause when we're in Vegas, it launches because the 20 to 50K book, 20, what, the
20,
conference,
20 books to 50K.
yes,
Yeah.
that is November the 12th, and my book launches November the 8th.
Okay. So you
And
have every opportunity to celebrate. Yeah. And
yes,
I feel like I'm the only person who's not coming. I'm like, everybody is going but
oh,
me. Yeah. But I'm aiming for next year. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. Okay. So you're doing really well,
hmm
writing wise.
hmm
And we just said like we do NaNoWriMo, but we do NaNoWriMo all the time. Uh,
exactly.
yeah. So you're doing something different for NaNoWriMo then.
Yes, I do. And actually, and this takes us to the class. And actually, NaNoWriMo is why I'm an author. My first romance novel I wrote for NaNoWriMo,
Okay. Yeah. But
and I
same
wrote
same
that
for
book.
me. The first thing
And
I finished was NaNoWriMo. Yeah.
yay,
Yeah.
NaNoWriMo!
Yeah.
And and so and it was cool because I finished early, and I woke up the next day, and the second book of my series, the whole book came to me, and then that's how it happened. But so I moved to Montana in July. I did NaNoWriMo in November. I started teaching the following year. And the kids knew I was an author. And because we have a little coffee shop and they bought my books. And so the next NaNoWriMo, and now the kids I'm talking about are now sophomores in high school.
Okay.
Um, they're like, well, you need to write a book for us. We don't want that romance. And this was a class that was like one girl and all boys. And I'm like, okay, because I was the librarian. I'm the elementary librarian. And I went, okay. And they're like, and we want superpowers. Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then it was funny because I had one girl that wanted to be, but I wouldn't give them superpowers. So they were like, in Montana, everybody's related.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like a third or fourth removed cousin from one of the Greek gods type of a thing, because they were totally into Percy Jackson. Then I had
Ah,
one
yeah,
girl
yeah.
who wanted to be related to Maleficent. And I'm like, that totally put a hitch in the plan, but it actually helped because then these kids are under Sleeping Beauty's curse and they need to use their powers to defeat it. So that was the first year. Well, then what happened after that is every year the sixth grade classes, oh, so you're going to write a book for us too, aren't you? And so I've written, this will be my fourth book. I've only published one, and then I pulled it just to prove I could write it for them. And then when I get them all cleaned up, I'll publish them in like rapid release.
Yeah, it's a whole series. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how the tradition came to be. It was peer pressure.
Yes, from 13-year-olds.
Well, they can be very,
Persuasive.
Yes.
And that's actually, that class is actually how I started doing it with my classroom, because sixth grade, I wrote them a book, and I write in like the middle grade YA fantasy genre and time travel. And that is hard because the structure is different than romance. The relationships are different.
Yeah.
And so I was like, payback. You're writing the novel. And so I did that with them, and I thought we failed because like a lot of them didn't make their goals. Their goals were too high. And the very next year, I had a student that was like a reluctant reader, a reluctant writer, very sweet child, just didn't like to do it. And I had decided to not do it. And the first day of school, he comes in and he says, we're writing books this year, right? Because I have mine all planned out. And I went, oh.
That's amazing. But that's some people just look like that. I mean, for kids, that can be a mask, right?
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
like not being interested in it, but actually that's sort of, what they're passionate about, but you just keep it quiet because it's vulnerable. So how did that make you feel that this person came to you and go like, we're gonna write, right? Because I'm ready.
Success. It was a total success.
Yeah, that's
because if you can get that one kid, all of them loved it, but when you get that one, good job.
Yeah. I mean, I've been a teacher for 10 years. And when I started, I was teaching introduction to gender studies when I started. So I always had the reluctant guys who were like 5 years my senior, but who'd failed the other class. So the class I did was one of the options. Like there were like 3 courses and you had to pick one of them, like to complete your curriculum. So they were like, well, we failed like philosophy for 5 years in a row. So now we're going to do the women's course because that sounds more easy. And the first few years, I always focused on the ones, like getting the ones along that weren't into it. And at one point, you just switch. You go like, no, you focus on the ones whose life is going to change because of that course. And
Exactly.
if the others come along, that's fine. If they don't, yeah. But it's that one kid who comes to you and goes like, so now I want to do my thesis about this topic. Yeah, that's what you like. That's at one point I was like, that's going to be the student. That's the one I'm going to focus on, not on the guys who are like, oh my God, do I have to, like, I just want to graduate. Yeah. Okay, so so basically the tradition grew. It wasn't something you set up at the beginning, like, when I get back to teaching, this is what I'm going to do. It just sort of happened. Yeah, it's like an organic development. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is your 4th year.
Teaching at this school, yes.
Yeah, so it's going to be the 3rd year you do NaNoWriMo with the class.
No, and then last year I didn't get to do, because I teach for 2 hours, like I have reading and writing. And for because we're a small school, it didn't work in the schedule, so I didn't get to teach writing for a year.
Just a question, where's the other end of your headphones? Because I get the feeling it's ticking against something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here.
I keep hearing tick, 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 tick. Where's your microphone, maybe?
My microphone. Oh, it's ticking?
I was like, what is this? It actually sounds like you're writing on an old-fashioned typewriter, like tick, 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 tick.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so we got that out of the way. Since I'm not doing post-production, Okay. Yeah. Okay. So tell me about last year.
Oh, and so what I did instead is, they still wanted to write. So I just met with them in the library twice a week for the whole year. And we worked on the books that way. So we didn't do nano per se, but we did do novel writing.
Okay. And that's great, because this is something that comes from them, really.
Yeah.
Like it's all there. Like they're the ones being like, are we going to do this?
Yeah.
which is really, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I'm really, because this is the thing, like we when we think of the younger generation, we go like, oh, they're never up for anything.
Oh no.
Uh,
See, but then
uh,
also I teach differently because I am an author.
yeah,
So it's and so like every conference I um when I come back from Edinburgh, when I couldn't do it in Edinburgh, but Edinburgh totally changed my perspective on writing. And that's what happens at every conference. Every conference is a 180. And so like when I go to Vegas, John Truby's going to be there.
I
I'll go to
I
his.
I
No, I'm
know. I
sorry.
think Sam told me that she was like, now I need to go to Vegas, and then she begged Craig to give her a ticket, just because
Yay!
John Truby was coming. I'm like,
And and
yeah,
so I'll go to him. And also Michael. Michael's like a phenomenal. And Michael just like spits these things out.
yeah.
Have you tried doing this writing skill? Have you brushed your teeth today? And you're like, no.
Yeah, it's like, like do you see, so you see here, this is
Uh-huh.
my vision board. So
Hmm.
this one here,
Uh-huh.
those are, except for one, they're all quotes from the Edinburgh conference. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
See, and so I come back from these conferences and I'm like, kids. And then because my author friends, you're not gonna believe what my author friends, how they write. Or and then so like when we read, um, and I also trick them, I give them a summer reading assignment. They actually read a book 3 times. They read it over the summer. Then I make them read it like for to answer the curriculum questions. And then I read it with them as an author. Oh, look at how she set up the setting in one sentence in the paragraph instead of doing that info dump. I hate info dumps. They hate info dumps.
Mm,
We all hate info dumps.
yes, yes.
So that's how I talk about reading, and that's also how I talk about writing.
So you really dissected it within the third time.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
so and then they get to do it in Nano because we've been they're on their third read through of a book that we all like know like the back of our hands. So they're ready to try it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, but it's so like, I'm just glad that they're all into it.
Me too.
Okay, so how many kids are this? Like, how many kids do you have in your class?
It varies from year to year. This class is small, and this class has 9.
Okay, okay. So it also gives you the time to give them like a particular you have enough of a time and attention to give to each of
Hmm.
the students. Yeah, so that's gotta be
Yes,
great. Yeah.
yes. And then what's cool is the first time we did it, we all got in trouble because like during study hall, they would come, can you help me with this? Or I'm having a problem with this plot point. And they should have been doing math. They should have been doing science. They shouldn't have been doing social studies. And they were
Hmm.
writing their novels. And and so they also that because they're getting the one-on-one
Hmm.
guidance towards this goal.
Yeah. Okay. So they really have to. They have to be boundaries. They have to know when they have to do the work and not get
Hmm.
completely like sucked into.
Yes.
But that's how we like. That's for me as well. Like NaNoWriMo. I have my regular job.
Hmm.
That comes first always. And for me,
Hmm.
like luckily as a freelancer, sometimes that means that November is a bit more quiet, so I get to write more. But if November is not, like for instance, now I'm editing a dissertation. It's a massive project.
Hmm.
It has priority. So they also
Yeah.
have to learn that you do have to schedule your day, and this is the
Yes.
writing time. You can
Yes.
prioritize it, but the other
Hmm.
things are important as well. So you
Exactly.
do have the other homework. You can't just miss a month of biology just because you want to
Exactly.
finish your novel. Yeah. Oh
But isn't
God.
that like
Yeah.
even like for authors though? That's how life is.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can't just go like show up like absent-minded at your job for a month
Hmm.
just because you want to finish that novel. Like you have to be able to do it both, and that's for like this is how NaNoWriMo came to be, right? Like for one
Yes.
month you can do both, and then
Hmm.
December you just sleep or something, right? But you can do it, and that's one of the things that I've had really had to like at the beginning when I started my writing coaching. I really had to explain. Like I had authors who felt like, well, I can't do a NaNoWriMo every month, so I'm failing. And I'm like, no, but the idea
Oh.
behind NaNoWriMo is that like, and that's the creative process. You put in the words and then you fill your cup.
Mm-hmm.
You take a break. Like it's not a constant, like you don't write, if people say I write 1,000 words a day, they're really not gonna write 365,000 words a year. That's not their output. Because there needs to
Mm-hmm.
be editing, there needs to be research, there needs to be like they will have friends or families or other hobbies. Like it's not,
Mm-hmm.
but people get so focused on I didn't write today. I'm like, but writing is also having this 2-hour conversation with your cover designer and tweaking the new
Mm-hmm.
cover. That's also writing for me.
Yes.
But that's why I start, instead of doing word count, I started timing my hours
Oh, okay.
because that keeps me sane. Because the word count
Mm-hmm.
really can trip you up. So that's.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is how I became a nano rebel.
Oh,
Because
okay.
yeah, because I'm like the amount of words is
Mm-hmm.
important, but the amount of hours, that's something I can actually, because that just means like every time I'm doing something on the book, I just hit my timer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know, oh, see, look, I worked for like so many hours a week. It's not all
Mm-hmm.
new output, but you know, it all has to be done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of my questions was how, because I talked to Bradley
Mm-hmm.
Charbonneau 2 weeks ago about his writing program in which parents get to write a book in a month with their kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, when we say book, he doesn't mean like a novel length book or like it's a children's book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things we discussed was, you know, how do you get the kids to do it? Because this is really something that the parents want to do, and then they have to sort of, you know, get their kid to go
Yeah.
along. So one of my questions was, okay, because I know from Bradley, he was like, whatever you do, don't call it work, don't call it a project, because they'll go like, no.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my questions for you was, how do you get them motivated in the first place? But it kind of feels that they are like, you didn't have to work really hard to
Well,
to 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 get them to sign up.
well, no, because also I teach every kid in the school because I'm the librarian.
Yeah,
So I've known them from kindergarten, and they know I'm an author.
yeah.
And then I also, they are published at the end of the year because the beauty of Nano is they have this raw work. Well, then you know what? We need to do this lesson on transitive verbs. Let's take out your book that you wrote and see if you used them, or if not, let's fix it. So I'm able to pull away from worksheets, and it's an authentic language arts assignment, or not that worksheets
Yeah.
aren't, but then I have the book funnel.
Mm-hmm.
So they make their book covers on Canva. I show them how to do that. And they're revising this for the whole rest of the year. And at the end of the year, they have a book that their friends, their family, they can download it. So they are
So
published authors.
so you are gonna you do get them through the whole Amazon process.
Well, kind of, because they don't get up to Amazon.
Okay, but they do finish. They do
Yeah.
finish at least like a PDF or something.
Yeah. No, it's an EPUB.
Oh, okay. Of course, yeah. You can put your EPUB, like you can put your EPUBs in your Kindle or your Kobo or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I see, but that's so they know that they do it, and it's not after November doesn't end. Uh, they get to go towards an
Exactly.
actual finished product,
Yes.
which I'm sure makes them take it much more seriously
Yes.
because they're gonna have something, and then they do the whole thing, like they do the covers. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay,
It's
so
fun.
it's very easy to get them motivated. Like it's almost as if they're waiting for November to come.
Um, yeah, actually, I had and it's funny because this year I had one that was really resistant. Again, there's always that one,
Mm-hmm.
and
I
um,
know it well.
and it was, and he's like an arguer. He always argues with me, and I figured out. Oh, and the Nano has here. I'm going to show. And Nano has curriculum. So
Well, I know,
they're
yeah,
not,
I know that it's being done already. Yeah, in schools a lot. Yeah, so they
and
have an
so what?
actual curriculum.
Yeah, and so they all have this book, and then the first day, um, you turn off your inner editor. They're
Mm-hmm.
not allowed to edit, and so this kid was fighting and fighting and fighting, and I'm like, dude, you're having lack of progress, because think about how much you argue with me. You're doing it with yourself. And so your characters are trying to talk, but you're shutting them up. And he was like, okay. And then, and I did an Instagram post today, and I do Instagram posts with their nano worksheets because I want to protect their identity. And there was one in there I was like, and they have character analysis. And I do nano, but then I also do what I do as an author. So, because like I do verbalize with Damon Suede.
Mm-hmm.
And so we pulled that in. And so he has this stack of characters that, 2 weeks ago, he swore he couldn't write and it was going to be hard. And can I just do 100 words? That made me look crazy. And he looks at me and he says, you know what? I need to separate the good guys from the bad guys so they don't get to a fight in the middle of the night. So these people that he refused to acknowledge now are going to fight if he doesn't get them under control.
Really, but that's good. Yeah, but he just needed that
turn off that editor.
Yeah. Oh, but that's good. But that's like the first page, like it's an actual red button.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
and
a
they
switch.
color it out.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's actually anyone. And there was one more that was really hesitant. He's like a perfectionist.
Oh,
you should see their faces when they're like, I can make mistakes. Like they just totally relax.
Yeah. And this is the thing, like we, like this stuff we write during NaNoWriMo, like if there's anything that's worth keeping without being touched, that's not that. I mean, for me as well, like my first drafts are not pretty, man. Like it's not, but it needs to happen. Like it needs to be on the page, because if it's not on the page, it's not. You can't do anything with it. But you have to get it on the page, and it's gonna look like sometimes while I'm doing NaNoWriMo, I just write, okay, so here this needs to happen. I need to describe this better. But just knowing for me, like this is just, so I'll just go like, okay, so there's like shrubbery, and the path is like made of this, and just write out what I want to say later. But it just needs to be there, because then, in the next draft, I'm like, oh yeah, so then I can sort of like really describe what it looks like.
Exactly.
But it has to be out there, because otherwise you don't get to the next step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they always say the first draft is actually the author telling themselves the story.
Yes, and I do believe that. Yeah, I do. And like for me, literally, because I tell myself sometimes in the draft what I actually need to do there. Although I don't know yet how to do it. Like I'm like, this is what you need to do here. But it's true, and this is for me. It's like that's. I'm also so surprised. Like we're both part of the 20 books to 50K group. And like some people, like they almost finished the first draft. I'm like, of course they've written like 100 books already, so they know what they're doing. But I'm always like, the idea, like my first drafts are so raw.
Like, see, you know what though? I don't know if Cecilia Mecca is going to be in Vegas. I met Cecilia Mecca at the Sell More Book Summit. And I did not get, and I'm doing it this time. I can see how they get done so quickly. And she was like, well, I use such and such person's spreadsheet, and I use this other person's. She has like 3 spreadsheets, and she does her plot that way. And I went, okay, because she had like one of those online seminars, and I went, okay, I'm going to try it. And they gave links to some of these spreadsheets. They have it down to the 1,000 words. In this 1,000 words, I'm going to write this. And this 1,000 words, I'm going to write this. And it's kind of cool because like I'm really good at that first act, and I'm really good at the third act. It's the second act where I get bogged.
Yeah, it's a soggy middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And James Scott Bell does this do your novel from the middle. Well, when you have your novel all parsed out into 1,000-word chunks, this 1,000 words, it's going to go here. This 1,000 words, it's going to go there. I'm not quite done. I'll be done by Saturday. I'll literally just have to go through the beat sheet. This is what I got to write. This is what I got to write. And then I think this year I will finish way before.
Just because you've had it, like it's so organized. I know the pantsers out there are going like, I cannot do that, or I don't want. Like,
and you know what? I'm a pantser. And then, but this is another thing. Like I was telling the kids, because I made them do the plot chart. I said, every time my characters change the story. And I'm okay with that. But then if I get stuck, I can go back to that beat sheet and say, what did I want? And then if I either, it falls in line. So I'm not really stuck.
Yeah, so you do allow the freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't know on beforehand what your character needs. Like what I always have, like I'm quite so this is for my YA fantasy stuff, which is so on the back burner. I don't know where it is anymore. But I have like bullet points, right? And then in Scrivener I color coded them, so I know, okay, so this is this particular story thread, and this is this particular. But still, what I do as I'm writing, my characters make more things come together than I could envision it. So I'm like, so it still works, but they still surprise me. Because I'm like, oh, wait a second. So if this happens and they just make a comment about this, then I get this thread through. So the weaving still happens, like the organic weaving still happens. And I think a lot of the people are trying to become plotters instead of pantsers. They're like, if I plot it out too much, like the magic is gone. But it really depends on whether you allow yourself to sort of, if your characters really want something, can you allow yourself to go with that? And the thing is, you have the blueprint, so you know where they have to end up again. So it gives you direction. But I think a lot of pantsers are like that. Like if I do it like that, like there's no more spark.
Oh, see, I get that. But then this is the difference, though. You have I think pantsers are character authors, and I am a character author, and so they when you're doing the plotting that way, you're only doing the plot. And so there's room for your characters to breathe within the plot. Because like when I wake up, I know I have to make breakfast. I know I have to I gotta go to school. I know first hour I have to do this, second hour I have to do that. But when I get there, such and such child has had a hard night. Well, I'm still going to accomplish that one goal. We're going to get through these 2 chapters, but then there's going to be that teachable moment in there.
Yeah.
And so it adds the character to it. But yeah, I could see why pantsers would be like,
And so for me, my bullet points are more about the character arc. So I more plot out the character arc, and it's only then that I see, okay, so what kind of events do I need, and who of the characters do I put together to create this event? So you can plot out your character development.
And I do that. I always have, and so like this character is shy. So by the end of the book, this character needs to be, what I'll do to break out of that shy thing is they're going to say something that's just going to blow everybody's mind. Well, then I have to put something in there for the character to actually say the mind-blowing thing. And for the kids, romance. Well, actually, I write like a lot of people in my books, but then like, I don't know where you live. Either in Montana, you're by yourself, or you're with like a mass amount of people. And
that's
so, what?
That's it.
Yeah, because like I'm in a farm in the middle of nowhere, so I can go days without talking to people. And then next week I'll go to, like, we make crafts together. And true story, it'll be 15 women, and we'll take over the local bar because it's a small town, and we'll be making Thanksgiving decorations. But there's all the characters in a scene, 15.
Yeah.
And so that's how it is for my books too. Now I know where that came from.
There you go. Well, that's the thing. There's more people here. Obviously, like I look at houses. When I look the other way, I see my swimming pool. No snow yet. For like, it'll snow in the mountains at some point. I have yet to see it. But yeah, so there are. But it's not because a lot of these places as well are for, like, people buy this house, but they still live in the UK, whatever. So some of them are occupied like 3 weeks a year, some 6 months. So it is a different thing. Like, so if, like I used to live in the Netherlands,
Mm-hmm.
and like there is just, you know, if there's a house, it's occupied.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
kind of have that too. Not as many people.
Yeah, but it's different. Like, so it also depends on the period. Because now, for
Mm-hmm.
example, it's 1st of November. I mean, it's still it's blue. Like I don't use the pool anymore because like I had to stop doing that 2 weeks ago because it got too cold to use it. But
Mm-hmm.
you can still swim in the sea. It's still doable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1st of November, right? But yeah, it
I'm
is
like
a
really jealous
different.
right now.
But it is true. Like it's a different. It's quieter here.
Oh.
So there is a difference. So I'm because I do the romance. I
Mm-hmm.
co-write romance,
Mm-hmm.
and part of the books are set in Scotland. Part of the books are set in Cyprus. So I'm really
Oh.
curious how actually living here is going to affect, because now I'm part of that sort of the rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really curious how that's going to affect the writing. What you can
Oh.
see in the writing that now, because the first time I wrote it, I'd just been here for a holiday once, and then
Mm-hmm.
we did most of the plotting for the other books during
Mm-hmm.
the second time I was here.
Mm-hmm.
But we finished the first book before I moved here.
Oh.
And I edited, or I did the final draft of the second book during Edinburgh, the conference.
Okay. I remember that.
So for NaNoWriMo, one of the projects I'm going to do is the final draft of the third book. So, and that's because the one I did in Edinburgh was actually set in Scotland.
Oh.
Yeah. So now I'm really curious whether that's gonna, because now I know what it's like to live here, whether that's gonna seep in to how I describe things.
Now, has your language
Yeah.
changed?
I don't know, actually. I don't know. But
Oh.
but these books as well are very character driven.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it means romance. It's not action driven. It's character
Mm-hmm.
driven. Yeah, but I am curious, especially for the second series.
Because
Yeah.
my language changed from Scotland, like totally. Because what was it? It was please place your cigarette ends in the trash receptacle. I saw a sign that I was like, oh, cigarette ends, trash receptacle. It's like a full sentence to say put your cigarette in the trash.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then in Scotland, like we teach prefixes and suffixes out here, but Americans are like prepositions. We totally use them instead of like the verb. And I remember I went to, I said something was full, and I go, I will unfill it. And I started, now I'm a prefix suffix person. I'm like the bigger words. I'm more verb oriented. And I still do the prepositions. It was a beautiful blend. And actually in the book, you can tell when I was writing it, I fleshed it out. I could tell like when we were at the first part, when I first got there and when I was there for 5 days, like it was like a dramatic shift.
Oh, that is interesting, because I haven't looked at anything else that I wrote when I was there, because that was the final draft. So then I
Mm-hmm.
went to the ARC team, and then we just, I just had to tweak some little bits.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see that kind of shift. But like I said, it was set in Scotland. But I do like the people I spent. So my chosen family here in Cyprus mostly exists of Scottish people. So I get
Oh.
that influence anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting kind of combination. So that's interesting because the whole Scotland Cyprus thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I co-write this, right, under a pen name. So we did that, like we decided we were gonna do that like December 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not know at that point that I at one point would move to Cyprus. I did not know I was gonna sort of like be welcomed into like the expat community, which is mostly Scottish people. So it's
Oh,
really
wow.
interesting how that's sort of. So I'm still like I still have both influences, and they forget that even though I'm half Scottish, like my dad's from Glasgow,
Mm-hmm.
I don't sound Scottish, and they forget. So they can go like, and I'm like. So I am really curious whether that's like when I do my dialogue in
Mm-hmm.
in the other books, whether that's going to be more Scottish as I go, because it does. I think it does get influenced very much.
Mm-hmm.
The whole feel of it, yeah. So I'm really curious about that. it's
Wow.
funny, right? It's funny, but I remember. So when I started writing my YA,
Hmm.
I started writing that when I was like 14, right? But I was like
Hmm.
reading Harry Potter at the time.
Oh, I
So when I read those really cute first chapters, I was 14, right? That was the
love.
first time I was trying to write in English.
Oh.
So when I read those first few chapters, it's almost like a copy of how the Harry Potter books go, right? It's like even the
Oh.
language. I'm like,
Hmm.
it's just like I'm just copying J.K. Rowling. But I had the same because I'm also a fan of Cassandra Clare.
Hmm.
Um, and I have the same, like, if I work on that particular book while I'm writing her stuff, like you can see that. Like
Hmm.
I even have a beta reader, and she also loves Cassandra Clare. And in one of my drafts, she was like, I don't know which book you were writing or were reading here, but
Hmm.
you sound really, really like this couple in that book. I'm like busted. So it does happen. Like if you read, for me, like if I read a separate genre, it doesn't really happen that much. But if you read something that's a similar genre as you're writing, like it
Hmm.
just bleeds into it. So
Hmm.
I really didn't sound like myself anymore. So like, oh, I have to go back, pull it out, and just what do I want to say in my
Hmm.
voice? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so um to get back to our original topic,
Hmm.
so like I said, I'm a nano rebel, right? So this is why I think I prefer the camps, because you can actually say, I want to do 20 hours, I want to do 20,000 words, I want to draft 20,000 words, or I want to edit 20, like you can pick your own goal. And I did
Hmm.
see that the NaNoWriMo, they do have, you can opt now. So this is a new book, is already drafted, like you can
I
opt.
saw that.
I saw,
Hmm.
yeah. So I was like, oh, so they are adapting to that.
Hmm.
So you said before, the first time you did this, you thought it was a failure because they didn't reach their goals.
Hmm.
So so what was that original goal? Like, did you go over the 50,000 words with them?
No, because what they do is they set their goals.
Okay.
But like they set their goals like at 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, and like they started getting stuck at about 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a couple that made it to 5 and 7,000, but I only get an hour a day with them, and then they probably only get 30 minutes of writing because there's always a mini lesson, and um, and again they're kids, so it's not like they're going to go boom, let's write.
No.
And and so this year I made them totally scale back on their goals, and
Okay.
so um, and then NaNoWriMo is for the whole month. Well, are you going to write on the weekends? No. Well, then we need to do your goal for 18 school days. How much do you think you can write a day while you're in school?
Mm-hmm.
And so the highest goal is 5,000,
Okay.
and the lowest is, and this was 100 words a day. And I know this kid will beat it, but I would rather he beat it and go, oh,
Yeah, I could do more
I am
than
as smart
because
as she says I am.
yeah.
Um, and so it's 1,800. And that's the beauty of the kids program is they are in control,
Yeah. Yeah. So
but they still can have
yeah.
fun.
But is there a lot of comparison in between? Like, will they go, well, if you say 4,000, I'm gonna beat that, or is it really their individual project?
It's their individual projects.
So they're really not concerned. So they're not concerned what other people are doing.
Um, in terms of words, no. In terms of story, finally, I had because I would tell them how I'm working my story to help them with theirs, and they're like, your characters should do. No, my characters should not do that. It's my
Okay.
book. Go write your own.
Yeah.
But they do that to each other.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Okay, but that's really good, because I think one of the things is that, and we as adults have that. We see others succeed, and then I can have these really overwhelming moments that I'm like, I'm not doing this the right way,
Oh yeah.
because look at how the others are doing it. Like I'm behind, like on
Mhm.
everything. So I think, like, if you, because these are 13-year-olds,
Yes.
so basically, like, showing them from the beginning that everybody has their personal goal based, because some might have violin practice and soccer practice after school, and some
Mm-hmm.
might not, so they can do a bit more. Others
Mm-hmm.
might have to babysit their younger sibling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very personal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we as adults have to be reminded. Like I have to remind myself quite a few times. Because I have these moments that I'm like, I see everybody else doing it, and I'm like, yeah, well, this is this no. I mean, it makes sense that I'm not that successful yet because I completely dropped the ball on this, or
Mm-hmm.
so I think we can do that. So I think it's like knowing they can do their own goals. I mean, that's gonna make them, I think, is a more resilient when they're later in life, and they can go like, no, I'm doing
Exactly.
it my way.
Exactly.
Yeah, this fits my oh, but that's why I'm really appreciative of NaNoWriMo, the official one. So this one,
Mm-hmm.
trying to work with different kind of goals. So that's I don't know how it works yet because the camp website is very much different.
Oh, is it?
Uh,
I haven't been to the camp
oh,
website
well, I
recently.
mean the options like you can say I want to do 20 hours, or
Oh.
you can say I want to do so many pages. So for example, at one point I edited the first novel in my YA fantasy trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I just had that all printed out.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of counted like, okay, so 30 days, I have to edit so many pages a day. So you can just say edit 6 pages or write. I think it was write 6 pages, but as I said, like I cheat on NaNoWriMo. But so that was easy. So that you now have this option of at least saying, so what are you working on? Is this like something you've already done? Are you finalizing it? Are you drafting it? I'm like, oh. And they also asked, so I did like, it's already there. Like I already have the bulk of it. So they
Mm-hmm.
asked you, okay, so where is the manuscript now?
In the Nano
Uh,
site?
yeah, so they asked me, okay, so where's the project now? How many words does it have now?
Mm-hmm.
So I think at the
Oh, yeah,
end,
you're right.
yeah, so I think in the end, I will have to say, so this is what it is now. So then they'll calculate, okay, well, you only added like 5,000 words. Good for you. No.
Well, no, because like
Yeah,
remember Night Circus, it took her a couple nanos to get it done.
yeah,
So, oh wow,
yeah.
that'd
So
be
they are
cool.
changing it. So this is a new thing. So I'm really curious about that.
Oh, so I could fix that one broken book.
Well, if you
Oh,
like I said, like I don't do nano properly. Like I've been cheating the system since day one.
oh.
Yes. But
See,
yeah. But for
I'm
me,
a
NaNoWriMo was just about making sure it's a bit more of a priority than it usually is. It already is a priority.
yeah.
I just want to do a bit more. Yeah.
I think I look at it as more of like there's more support for it in November because
Yeah.
in August I'm working on my book. I get eye roll. I get whatever's. November I'm like it's NaNoWriMo. I'm
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
Yeah. They're like,
December the
okay,
1st. They're like, but the December the 1st they go back to okay. I know
yeah,
right. I know
get
you
out of your writing hole and join us in the real world. Yeah.
no, and it's funny. No, November, I'm an author. In December, I am so glad you have that great hobby. Like, oh,
Yeah. How many books was that? 1920? Really great hobby. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. But like for me, like I said, like we do NaNoWriMo all year round.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's almost as if like now we can be like, we're doing NaNoWriMo. Yay. So we can actually say, not tonight because I have to do this NaNoWriMo.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
and
I'm
they're
actually,
totally fine
yeah,
with it.
but I'm like that already. Like I really like over the past few years,
Mm-hmm.
I've become so for me it is like my paid work, like so of course like my writing gets me money as well, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I have my freelance job, like I'm an editor, I'm a writing coach. That's like that's what pays the bills.
Mm-hmm.
So that always has priority. But I do know that if I have like, okay, so I want to work on this tonight. If somebody goes like, so what are you doing tonight? Like it's easier for me to go like, yes, I can put that aside,
Yes.
right? But the
Mm-hmm.
funny thing is, so my previous partner was always like, oh, yeah, she's always writing. well, I'll just wait until she finally publishes that really good book, and then we'll get rich, and then I'll have her, then I'll get more time, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of like, so very reluctant, accepting that I was spending so much time on my hobby. My current partner is like, when I'm like, yeah, I have time, like she will say, like, did you like work on your books? Like, did you do everything you
Oh.
wanted to do? Like I mean, if you like, I know you're working on this. So I'm like, so it's yeah, so that's really nice. Like, and I do like it, it's she's a priority as well. So I'll she's the first person I'll go like, no, like this can wait, or like I aim to write an hour a day.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm on 45 minutes and I'm like, yeah, no, it's cool. Like I've done enough. Like sometimes you do more in 45 minutes than the other. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
cool. But it's just nice to have that sort of like, you sure you have time? Like, did you do everything you wanted to do today? Like, did you get
Mm-hmm.
time to work on your writing? Like, it's so nice that somebody's
Mm-hmm.
that,
Consider it.
uh, yeah, but that also, of course, like when we met, I was already an author.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met my now ex-partner,
Mm-hmm.
nobody knew I was writing. So I
Oh.
developed as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
So this one I was like, yeah, I write, I do this, I do this, I do this. So I think that's also, and if you know, I mean, this is a completely different conversation. How do you deal with spouse and family who don't get you? Oh, that's a completely different. But it's very nice to have. But to say
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, but the people around you in November, they're like, oh, so you're doing this. So yeah, it's more acceptable to like
Uh-huh.
hold yourself up and be like,
Uh-huh.
can't do it now because no, no,
Uh-huh.
no. Yeah,
Yep.
but what they don't know is that we try to hit that goal like all the time, all year round.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Any? What do I? Oh yeah. So I asked you at the beginning, why do you do this?
Mm-hmm.
And like we discussed, like this, it came out organically,
Mm-hmm.
but you do keep doing it for a reason. So it must fulfill something inside of you. So what is the best thing you take away from it? Like as a teacher, as an author, as a so why do you keep doing it? Like what does it do for you?
Okay. Um, as a teacher, I have like the because I'm from Sweetgrass. We're in Sweetgrass, Montana, which is the Canadian border,
Okay.
and um, there and it's um, Charlie Russell is a great like a sculptor and painter, and he actually lived up here in Sweetgrass, and then he moved to Great Falls, and so we think Charlie Russell is ours. They think he's theirs,
Oh yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
and so and so I decided, and everyone in at least this probably all of Montana is very creative and very artistic, but then they're also hardworking. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to start a renaissance. We're going to get a boom of writers from this area of Montana, and because like the town has 400 people, so it's not, and actually it's Sweetgrass, Sunburst, Kevin, and Oilmont. They're all like within a 20-mile radius. So if you put
Okay.
all of us together, it is 800 people. We're going to have a renaissance, and we're going to put our little piece of Montana on the map for what we do.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, you know, like usually this many this percentage of people out of so many people are writers, but then
Mm-hmm.
there's this really odd space in Montana, and for some
Exactly.
reason,
So
yeah.
we're going to be like the I think it's Dallas or Taos, New Mexico, where all the painters are.
So you're gonna be that.
Yes, we're going to be that.
Yeah.
And so I do that as a teacher, but I also do it as a teacher because I have this, and I tell the kids this. I want them to be in control.
Mm-hmm.
So if I teach you this skill and you decide never to pursue it, you're in control. But I don't ever want you in the position where someone else says you can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I'm like, and you know what? You may never be a novelist at beyond this, but you know that you were. So the next time someone tells you you can't, You can look
Yeah.
on this moment in time and say, you're lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then also, and I was just thinking about this, I almost felt guilty about doing nano and teaching writing and teaching reading because I'm so natural at it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and I used to envy leaders. Oh, this leader handled the situation perfectly. Like, and then it dawned on me, leaders don't just, it's not like leaders go home and go to Google and say, I'm having this problem with my community. How do I solve it? That's how they're hardwired.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I'm hardwired. If I'm in like any literacy environment, boom, I can like, it's like I can see everything and I can assess it, I can fix it, I can get the person to the next level. And so that's why I do it. It's my gift. So there's the teacher. And also it's also giving back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things, I knew I was going to be a legacy writer. And because when I first started writing, it was when I called it Chesty Men covers, Amazon, all the romance, it was chesty. And and I'm not a chesty man writer. And I love reading chesty men, but I don't write it. And so I knew
There's
it was
still a
going to
lot
take,
of chesty men out there.
yeah. But I knew it was going to take me a long time to get recognized because chesty man. I have something where it was 50 chesty men books and then mine that had like a little heart. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
but it's sweet. It's sweet romance, so it's a different
mm-hmm.
genre. Yeah.
And so I've created a legacy for myself, and so and they've helped me create a legacy because I write about life here, and the characters and the personality, they're authentic, and so it's also my way of giving back.
Yeah.
I hope I answered the question.
Well, yeah. But it's interesting what you just said, because I remember, and this is the thing that I think so. Me and my co-writer Sheena took away also from Edinburgh, because when we talked about what we do together, like we as well, like when we started writing romance, it was like a joke, right? We were like, let's just see if we can pull this off, right? None of us had ever written anything like it, like. So let's just see if we can do it. But we did think, like, how do we want to do it? Like, what is the kind of legacy? So first of all, we decided to do like LGBT, because there's a lack of representation. But when you look at, so we write lesbian sexy romance. When you look at the books that are out there, they're very particular. So we were like, okay, so if we do it, we're gonna do it our way. So we know like this, it's gonna take a while for us to be recognized, because we are putting a brand out there that's doesn't really resonate with what's already out there. But we want to do this because we see there's a lack in the industry.
Exactly.
But yeah, so it will take, like, it's a long term, like it's like in the end. And we do already get some recognition, but it's gonna be we really want to change the genre and show what you can do with the genre. So yeah, I really appreciate you. Just like, but this is the thing I would say. If you want to do this, like, we have a lot of marketing, like, do you write to market or not, right? Discussions. And I think if you know what you want to do, if you know what you want to say, if you can stick with that, it's like were you at Liz's presentation during the 20 books? She did this. Liz Kelly. She did the separate presentation.
Yes.
And for me, like, because I was always very critical about writing to market, because of course in the groups that we're both members of, you some, like, the once was this guy who posted this message who said, okay, so need money, and my wife is like romance is $1 billion industry, write romance. And he was like, you need to give me some pointers because I hate it, but I need to write this book. And I'm like, no, because your readers will know that it's not your genre. So when Liz was going to talk about writing to market, I was like, I just need to see it because I'm very critical about writing to market, because I
Mm-hmm.
associate it with guys who are
That person.
like, oh, I just need to do this. It's not really my passion, but you know, there's money there, so let's just suck it up and do the work. I'm like, you write for a reason. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
this is how you want to write, get back to your old boring day job
Mm-hmm.
that you really don't care about.
Mm-hmm.
But when she started out, like she said, you write to your pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And then you decide, okay, so these are the things I want to write about. What genre does that fit? So this is how you figure out, can I write it to market?
Mm-hmm.
And I really love that, because the basic is, am I writing what I'm passionate about?
Mm-hmm.
And then you look, okay, so I can fit that in this genre, I can fit it in this genre. This genre is more popular. I just need to change some tropes.
Exactly.
And for me, that was like, so you can do it, but like, it's for so many people, writing to market equals selling your soul, not doing the stuff you want to do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, but you can write to market and do something that you're proud of. You just have to find out like how she did it. Like, I loved how she put that
The ice cream
together.
cone.
Yeah, I love
Mm-hmm.
that. Like that's how you do it. But it
Yeah.
does mean, if you decide, so that's for us, the decisions we made, we knew, because we wanted to write more realistic stories as well. So for
Mm-hmm.
us, we write trilogies. So
Mm-hmm.
that means that at the end of the first books are about, they meet and they think it's a fling. The second
Mm-hmm.
book, they meet again. They realize, this was a fling, wasn't it? Am I gonna sort of reach out
Mm-hmm.
and okay. And then the third book, they realize, okay, so I either go all in or I just walk away.
Oh.
Which we thought is much more realistic of how relationships actually work.
Yeah.
That you don't, it's not always like you meet each other at the end of the book, you're like happily ever after. Like, some people need, okay, so we meet again. Is this a coincidence? Does it mean we work? So this is going
Mm-hmm.
to be our formula for all the trilogies.
So you do
But
like a HFN, happy for now.
well, actually, not at the end of the whole trilogy. It's happy ever after.
Mm-hmm. But the
But
first one,
they don't end up together.
so it's happy for now.
No, it's not.
No.
No. And yeah, so this is a rule we were breaking, right? So we knew
Yes.
that. So it's not. They're happy that they interacted with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So like for their character development, they're in a really good place now, because they really needed this person to interact. Like, they really needed to have met this person, because it was really good on a personal level.
So
But
you're like doing a maturation plot structure.
But of course, so we knew we were taking a risk, and people in the romance industry, they told us, you're gonna get like, they're gonna kill you over this, right? But we were like,
Well,
but
you're
we
almost
think, yeah.
like I think you're almost like, and I'm this too. You're almost, and like I've listened to Nicholas Sparks and like a lot of like big romance writers,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like on the cusp of romance and the cusp of literary fiction.
I wouldn't say the quality of the writing is literary fiction, because this is our good enough project,
Oh, okay.
right? Yeah, so it's like it'll do. But yeah, we are, but we want it to be more realistic. Because it's because we have hang-ups over relationships and we have traumas. So sometimes you need to go through something else, and sometimes you really think you just meet somebody and it's just, but at least they're going to help you move on
Mm-hmm.
from some trauma, but then you meet them again.
Like the Bridges of Madison County,
Yeah.
and look at how well that's sold. And I think that's marketed as a romance. Is
You
it?
think? I don't know, actually. I mean,
It's a great story.
yes, I love it, and I love both the book and I love the film as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good, yeah. But that's the thing. So we knew we were breaking some rules, but then so during Edinburgh, people
Mm-hmm.
said, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna shape the genre, because
Yeah.
there are so few books out there. Like, it's a
Mm-hmm.
very tiny niche. So
Mm-hmm.
but that means you just have to, like, it's the long haul. So we have to be really
Yes.
convinced, and then just keep doing it until people start, oh yeah, so there are books out there who function like this. This is, so we just basically have to wait for this formula to become acceptable.
Yeah.
And we did tweak some things. For example, our slogan for the whole world is
Mm-hmm.
now 3 times a charm.
Oh,
So to already
nice.
tell people, like
Yes.
it's gonna work in the end. You just have to,
Yeah.
stay with us, and they'll be together in the end. They just have so much shit to work through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But that's the same for you then. Like you do your thing because you
Hmm.
feel that this is the story you need to tell. This is a
Hmm.
legacy that you want to leave.
Hmm.
But that might take you a while for people to sort of like, oh wait, this is also out there. This is
Yep.
also an option.
Yep.
And this is the thing what I love about the whole why we self-publish is because the traditional gatekeepers are not there. So we do get to
Hmm.
redefine genres, but
Exactly.
it takes courage
Yes.
to do it. Like I said, like when we said they're not going to end up together. Not after the first book, not after the second book. The second book is more like, okay, so where are we now? But they don't
Hmm.
live. They don't live in the same country.
Oh. Oh yeah. Scotland, Cyprus. Okay.
Yes. So at the end of the second book, like we do end with that the main character is like that she's sure they're gonna meet someday again somehow. She just doesn't know how. But then the
Hmm.
third book, which I'm gonna so that's the one coming out just before Christmas.
Hmm.
It starts again. Like she's out there dating. So you're like,
Hmm.
where's the character from the other two books? And then like
I'm
our
like,
beta, yeah. So one of our beta readers like, I don't know how you made that happen because I was really convinced. Like, is this book about something else? And then of course, there's this little thing from the second book, which is already in the first book, and they're like, right, she was doing that, so this is how she gets back to Cyprus. And of course, they'll have
yeah.
to meet again. Yeah, yeah. But we are trying to.
Yeah.
We are trying to redefine a genre, but that takes courage.
Hmm.
Because even though we don't have the traditional gatekeepers, self-publishing
Hmm.
comes with its own gatekeepers. Like
Exactly.
all the rules of how to do things and how to not do things. Yeah.
Yes. Well, the readers make the rules.
Yes, so as long as they are reading it,
Hmm.
and we knew we there was a chance that people were like, "What? They're not ending up together?" But actually, we did have some negative reviews. They don't mention that.
And that's you're like, thank you for not spoiling the plot.
Well, maybe they could have gone. They could have gone like, "This is not a proper romance,"
Hmm.
but they didn't. So maybe it's okay. So sometimes you just have
Yeah.
to try it.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we've discussed like various topics in this,
Yes.
but this is what I do. Like I'm not structured. I'm just like whatever needs to come up needs to come up. Anything else that you want to say about doing NaNoWriMo with your school kids before we finish the talk?
Yes. Okay. One, because when I told them I was coming on the podcast, the first thing one said was, "Can you make sure?" And this is what I love. They're so success oriented. Can
Mm-hmm.
you make sure to tell them that we worked for 2.5 weeks before we started writing these things? Um, and that is one of the keys is the prep.
Yeah,
The,
you don't
the
start NaNoWriMo. You don't start prepping NaNoWriMo on the 1st of November. You're ready to start writing. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Um, and it's hours and so um and 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 like we have the curriculum, but we did like a lot of things. Like we have sticky notes. So I'm like, if you ever have an idea, you write it on the sticky note, you put it in your folder, and um and it's okay to not know,
Mm-hmm.
is what I told them. Um, if you know your character, you'll know what to do when the time comes because your character will talk.
Yeah.
And no, and it was just funny. These kids are hysterical. Um, and they, um, oh, don't be afraid to take a break. One said, don't be afraid to take a break. And the other one is funny. This kid does it all the time. Ask questions. So I'm not going to be writing during the school day. Ask
No.
questions.
Yeah, you're gonna be answering and helping
Yes,
others. Yeah.
yes. So I'm excited about that because that picture I took where you were helping me. It was you and Sam and Caitlin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um, that's what my classroom is like for the whole month of November.
that's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, so this is what we were rewriting your blurb.
Yes.
Yeah, on the last day of the conference.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and Fatima was there as well.
Yes.
Yeah, she was the one who like dragged me down and said, we need your help. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My blurbs are so much better too. Thank you.
I still need to like I'm putting up actually making the service like available on my website. I still haven't done it. Like it's been a bit chaotic, but I still need to do it because you did get better sales out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
so
actually, just working through it with you made me a better blurb writer.
well, this is my thing. Like I never intend. So this is our sixth topic. I do the same with my editing. I will explain to you why I made the change. So the next time I get your manuscript, like a different manuscript, it's already better. That's like I've worked with. I started out as an academic editor, so I have lots of academics that come to me, and every time I see their work, it has improved. So I'm like, this is great. Of course, like for my fiction stuff, I charge per 1,000 words, but for my academic editing, I charge per hour. And it's not.
Okay.
It's. I'm not gentle. Like I like it's a hard job. I can't do it 8 hours a day. So for them, they know the next time I hand something in, I will need less hours. So I become cheaper for them as they improve. And I have the same with this exercise. So for example, I did Katie Grove's blurb with her. And in the end, she before she published the book, she changed the blurb again. But that is okay because working with me and talking through, she saw, okay, so we didn't get the final version together. But as she said, with the stuff, with the one that we did come up, she realized, because she knows her story the best, she realized I need to tweak that and I need to tweak that bit.
Yeah.
So I saw it like, because she had the paperback. So I like, show me a picture. So I read them. I was like, you changed it, and she said, yes, I did. I'm like, well, that's fine. It just means that because we worked together, we walked through it. If we stop the call and then you get another idea. Don't feel like you can't change it because you paid me money to change your right? Like that's you know your story best. But maybe us talking through it will just help you see, okay, so this is how I need to do it. So this is what I need to come up with. So she needed to change some things. Like some things weren't allowed to be in the, like it had to be a secret, like for the reader. So we were a bit too open in her blurb, so she tweaked it a little. That's fine. That's completely fine. Like that's how it works. But it's a process, and just working through, like you learn. Just because basically what I do now is I have the Zoom videos.
Yeah.
So I share a screen, and they just see me type. So they just see me go through it, and I'll talk. Like I'll be in my zone as they're watching. And I'll just say, okay, so this needs to be there, and this needs to be there, this needs to be, and that's just it's. So that's what I want to do, because maybe you pay me for 3 blurbs, but then you need to be able to sort of do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right, because then for me, I'm all about being a teacher. I don't want you to be dependent on me and have to come to me for your blurbs for the next 50 years.
Exactly.
No, I want to show you how it's done, so the next time you can save money on it.
And then you can pay it forward and help somebody else.
Yes, and that's exactly why I want to do it. But I still need to put that service up. It's been hectic.
You want me to bug you? I'll be your accountability partner.
Oh, this is my NaNoWriMo list. This is all the things I need to write. So I'll focus on that first.
No, I'll December the 1st. I'll message you.
Okay, so before the end of the year, I have to put it up.
Okay.
And you will write me a glorious review.
Yes.
Perfect.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
But yeah, 1st of December after NaNoWriMo, I have two services I need to add to my array. So I need to do that before. Okay, so now we're talking about everything. Well, this is, people who watch these know that this is exactly what happens when I start talking to people. We talk about everything. Thank you so much for doing this. You need to go to bed.
Oh yeah.
I need to go. I need to get my day started and get some work done and get some writing done. This is NaNoWriMo. Thank you so much for doing this, and good luck, and keep me updated on the kids and how they're doing this. Okay.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.